Om Sai Ram, welcome to Living Spiritually. Sai Satcharitra Chapter 33. Topics: The Greatness of Udi, Scorpion Stings and Plague Cases Cured, The Jamner Miracle, Narayan Rao's Sickness, Bala Buva Sutar, Appa Saheb Kulkarni, and Aribabu Karnik. In the last chapter, we came to know the greatness of Guru, and now in this chapter, we'll come to know the greatness of Udi. Preliminary: let us now bow before the great saints. Their merciful glances will destroy mountains of sins and do away with all the evil streaks in our character. The casual talk gives us valuable lessons and confers on us perishable happiness. Their minds do not know any difference, such as this is ours and that is yours. Such differentiation never arises in their minds. Our obligation to them will never be repaid by us in this birth as well as in many future births to come. Odi. It is well known that Baba asked for or received dakshina from devotees who visited him, and out of the amount thus collected, he spent a lot on charity and purchased fuel with the remaining amount. He fed this fuel into the dhuni, the sacred fire which he always kept burning. The ash from this fire was called Odi, and it was freely distributed to the devotees at the time of their departure from Shirdi. What did Baba teach by this Odi? Baba taught us that all the visible phenomena in this universe is as transient as ash. Our bodies, composed of the five elements, will perish after all the worldly enjoyments are over and will be reduced to ashes. In order to remind the devotees of this, Baba distributed Udi to them. Baba also taught through Udi that Brahma is the only reality, that the universe is ephemeral, and that no one in the world, son, father, or wife, is really ours. We come into this world alone and we have to live alone. While Udi also cured many physical and mental problems, Baba wanted to teach his devotees the principles of discrimination between the unreal and real and non-attachment for the unreal. The Udi taught us discrimination and Dakshina taught us detachment. Unless we have these two things, it is not possible for us to cross over the sea of mundane existence. So Baba asked for and received Dakshina, and when the devotees took leave, he gave them Udi as prasad, besmeared some of it on their forehead, and placed his boon conferring hands on their heads. When Baba was in a cheerful mood, he used to sing merrily. One of the songs he sang was about Udi. The chorus of that song was, "O playful Rama, come and bring with you sacks of Udi." Baba used to sing this song in a very clearly and sweet tone. Udi also had its material significance. It conferred health, prosperity, freedom from anxiety, and many other worldly gains. Thus, Udi helped us to gain both our end materials as well as spiritual. Inspired by Baba, we shall now begin to tell you the stories about Udi. The Scorpion Sting. Narayan Motiram Jani of Nasik was a devotee of Baba. He was working for another devotee of Baba named Ramachandra Vaman Modak. Once he went to Shirdi with his mother and saw Baba. Then Baba told the mother that her son should not work for anyone and should start his own business. A few days after this, Baba's prophecy came true. Narayan Jani quit his job and started a boarding house which later thrived. Once, a friend of Narayan Rao's was stung by a scorpio, and a pain caused by it was severe and unbearable. Udi is very efficacious in such cases and should be applied to the area of pain. So Narayan Rao searched for it but found none. Then he stood before Baba's picture, invoked Baba's aid, chanted Baba's name, and taking a pinch of the ashes of the incense burning in front of Baba's picture and thinking it to be Baba's Udi, he applied it to the area that had been stung. As soon as he applied it, The pain vanished, and both persons were moved and were grateful to Baba. The bubonic plague case, a devotee in Bandra came to know that his daughter, who was living in another place, was down with bubonic plague. He had no odi with him, so he sent word to Nana Sahib Chandorkar to send the same. Nana Sahib got this message on a road near the Tana railway station when he was travelling with his wife to Kalyan. He had no udi with him at the time. He therefore took some earth from the road, meditated upon Sai Baba, invoked his aid, and applied to the forehead of his wife. The devotee heard about this, and when he went to his daughter's house, he was very glad to learn that his daughter, who had been suffering for 3 days, had begun to improve from the very moment Nana Sahib invoked Baba's aid. The Jamner miracle. About the year 1904, Nana Sahib Chandorkar was Mamaldar at Jamner, which is more than 100 miles from Shirdi. His daughter Mainatai was pregnant and was about to deliver. The case was very serious. She had been suffering from labor pains for about 2 or 3 days. Nana Sahib tried all sorts of remedies, but they proved in vain. He then remembered Baba and invoked his aid. In Shirdi, at about the same time, a man named Ramgir Buba, who Baba called Bapu Girbahu, wanted at this time to visit his native place in Khandesh. Baba called him and told him to rest a little at Jamner on his way home and give the odi and arti to Nana Sahib. Ramgir Bua said that he only had 2 rupees with him and that this amount was barely sufficient for the railway fare up to the Jalgaon, and thus it was not possible for him to go from Jalgaon to Jamner, a distance of about 30 miles. Baba assured him that he need not worry as everything would be provided for him. Then Baba asked Shama to write out the well-known Arti composed by Madhav Adkar, a translation of which is given at the end of this work, and give a copy of it with Udi to Ramgir Bua. He then asked Ramgir Bua to deliver this to Nana Sahib. Relying on Baba's words, Ramgir Bua left Shirdi and reached Jalgaon at about 2:45 a.m. He had no money left with him and was in hard plight. To his great relief, he heard somebody calling out, "Who is Bapugir Bua of Shirdi?" He went to the man and told him that he was Bapugir Bua. Then the peon, claiming to be sent by Nana Sahib, took him out to an excellent tanga with a good pair of horses. The tanga drove fast, and early in the morning they came to a brooklet. The driver took the horses to water them, and the peon asked Ramgir Bua to partake of some eatables. On seeing the beard, moustache, and the livery of the peon, Ramgir Bua suspected he was a Muslim and was thus unwilling to take any refreshment from him. But the peon satisfied him by saying that he was a Hindu. The peon also said that Nana Sahib had sent this refreshment and that there should be no hesitation or doubt about accepting them. Then both of them ate and started on the journey again. They reached Jamner at dawn. Ramgir Bua alighted to attend the call of nature and returned within a few minutes, but found that there was no tanga driver or the peon. He was dumbfounded. Then he went to nearby village office. Upon making inquiries, learned that the Mamaldar was at home. He went to Nana Sahib's house, introduced himself, and gave Nana Sahib udi and arti. At this time, Maina Tai's case was very serious and everyone was very anxious about her. Nana Sahib called out to his wife and asked her to give the udi mixed with water to their daughter and sing Baba's Arti. He thought that Baba's help was very timely. In a few minutes she delivered safely and the crisis had passed. She delivered safely and the crisis was past when Ramgir Bhuva thanked Nana Sahib for the peon, thanga and the refreshment. Nana Sahib was rather surprised. He had not sent anyone to the station as he did not know someone was coming from Shirdi. Mr. B.V. Dio of Thana, retired Mamaldar, made inquiries about the matter with Bapurao Chandorkar, that is Nana Sahib's son, and with Ramgir Bua, and then wrote an elaborate article part prose and part poetry in the Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 13, numbers 11, 12, and 13. B.V. Narasimha Swami also took down the statements of Mainatahi Bapu Sahib Chandorkar and Ramgir Bhuvan, published them in Devotees Experience Part 3. The following is quoted from Ramgir Bhuva's statement. One day, Baba called me and gave me a packet of udi and a copy of Baba's Aarti. I was planning on travelling to Sandesh at the time. Baba directed me to go to Jamner and told me to deliver the Aarti and udi to Nana Sahib Chandorkar. I told him that all I had was 2 rupees and asked him how that would take me by train from Kopargaon to Jalgaon and then by cart from Jalgaon to Jamner. Baba said, God will give. That was Friday and I started at once. I reached Manmad at 7:30 p.m. and Jalgaon at 2:45 a.m. Plague regulations were being enforced and I had quite a bit of trouble getting to Jalgaon. At about 3 a.m., a peon in boots, a turban, and well equipped with other details of good dress appeared and took me to a tanga and drove me on. He claimed that he worked for Nana Sahib Chandorkar. I was rather surprised on the way. I shared the refreshment he offered me. We reached Jamner early in the morning, and by the time I returned from attending the call of nature, the tanga, the peon, and its driver had disappeared. Narayan Rao. A devotee named Narayan Rao, surname not given in this case, had the good fortune of meeting Baba twice during the latter's lifetime. Yet, even 3 years after Baba passed away, Narayan Rao wanted to come to Shirdi but could not come due to an illness. Within a year of Baba's Mahasamadhi, he had fallen sick and suffered a lot. All ordinary remedies gave him no relief, and so he meditated on Baba day and night. One night in his dreams, Baba came to him through a cellar and comforted him, saying, "Don't be anxious, you will improve from tomorrow, and within a week you will be on your legs." Narayan Rao recovered fully within the time mentioned in the vision. Now, the point of the story is, was Baba living because he had a body, or was he dead because he had left it? Baba is always alive, for he transcends both life and death. Even a person who gives Baba wholehearted affection once gets a response from him at any time and at any place. He is always by our side and will take any form and appear before the devout disciple and satisfy him. Appa Sahib Kulkarni. In 1917, Appa Sahib Kulkarni had a chance to meet Baba. He was transferred to Thana and began to worship Baba's picture, which Bala Sahib Bhate had given him. He earnestly worshipped this picture, offered flowers, sandal paste, and naivedya, the religious offering of food, and had an intense desire to meet Baba. In this connection, it can be said that bowing before Baba's picture earnestly is equivalent to seeing him in person. The following story illustrates the statement. Bala Bua Sutar, a saint from Bombay named Bala Bua Sutar, who on account of his piety, devotion and bhajans was called modern Tukaram, came to Shirdi for the first time. In 1917, when he bowed before Baba, the latter said, "I have known this man for the past 4 years." Bala Bua wondered how this could be. He had never been to Shirdi before or met Baba, and thus he wondered why Baba said this. But upon thinking about it carefully, he recollected that he had prostrated himself 4 years ago before Baba's portrait in Bombay. Thus he was convinced about the significance of Baba's words. He said to himself, "How great saint and all pervading are the saints, how kind they are to their devotees." I merely bowed to his photo, and this was noticed by Baba. And in due course, he made me realize that seeing his photo is equivalent of seeing him in person. Appa Sahib Kulkarni's story continued. Now we return to Appa Sahib's story. While he was in Thana, he had to go on to tour to Bhiwandi and was not expected to return for a week. In his absence, the following wonderful thing took place On the third day after his departure, at noon, a fakir turned up at Appa Sahib's house. His features resembled those of Baba. Mrs. Kulkarni and the children asked him whether he was Sai Baba of Shirdi. He said he wasn't, but he was an obedient servant of his and he had come there at Baba's direction to inquire about the health of the family. Then he asked for dakshina and Mrs. Kulkarni gave him a rupee. The fakir then gave her a small packet of udi and asked her to keep this in the shrine next to Baba's photo. Then the fakir bade goodbye and left. Now listen to this wonderful leelas of Sai. Appa Sahib could not proceed with this tour as his horse had fallen sick at Bhiwandi. He returned home that afternoon and learned from his wife about the fakir's visit. He thought it was unfortunate that he did not receive the darshan of this fakir and was not happy that only 1 rupee was paid as dakshina. He said that had he been present, he would have offered no less than 10 rupees. Then he immediately left to find the fakir on an empty stomach. His search was in vain. He then returned home and had his food. The reader may remember here Baba's dictum that the quest of God should not be made on an empty stomach. Appa Sahib learnt a lesson about this. Then after his meals, he went out for a walk with a friend. After walking some distance, they saw a man approaching them rapidly. Appa Sahib thought that he must be the fakir that came to his house at noon, as he resembled Sai Baba. The fakir immediately put forth his hand and asked for dakshina. Appa Sahib gave him a rupee, yet he demanded money repeatedly, and so Appa Sahib gave him 2 more, and the fakir was still not satisfied. Then he borrowed 3 rupees from his friend and gave him to fakir, and yet the fakir wanted more. Appa Sahib asked the fakir to accompany him home. Then they all returned home, and Appa Sahib gave him another 3 rupees. In all, it's 9 rupees. He looked unsatisfied and demanded more. Then Appa Sahib told him that he had a currency note of 10 rupees. The fakir asked for the same and took it, returned the 9 rupees and left. Appa Sahib had said that he would pay 10 rupees and that sum was taken from him and 9 rupees consecrated by Baba's touch were returned to him. The figure 9 is significant. It denotes the 9 types of devotion. It may also be noted that the Baba gave 9 rupees to Lakshmi Bai Shinde in his last moments. Appa Sahib examined the udi packet and found that it contained a few flower petals and akshata. Then a few years later he got a hair from Baba when he received his darshana at Shirdi. He put the udi packet and the hair in a talisman and always wore it on his arm. Appa Sahib also discovered the power of udi in other ways. Though he was a very intelligent man, he made 40 rupees as pay initially, but after he secured Baba's photo and udi, he got many times 40 rupees per month and also got lot of power and influence. And in addition to this temporal benefits, his spiritual progress was also rapid. So those who are fortunate enough to get Baba's udi should, after a bath, apply it to their forehead and drink some of it mixed with water as holy tirtha. Haribabu Karnik. In 1917, Haribabu Karnik of Dahanu, that's the Thana district, came to Shirdi on the Guru Purnima day in the month of Ashada and worshipped Baba with all due formality. He offered clothes and dakshina, and after taking Baba's leave through Shama, walked down the steps of the masjid. Then he thought that he would offer 1 rupee to Baba and was about to return. Shama signaled that as he had received Baba's permission to leave, he should go and not return. He then left and, on his way home, went into the temple of Kala Rama at Nasik to receive darshan. The saint Narsingh Maharaj, who used to sit inside the big door of the temple, left his devotees, came to Haribabu, caught his wrist and said, "Give me my 1 rupee." Karnik was surprised. He paid the rupee willingly and thought that Sai Baba had recovered the rupee, which he intended to give through the saint Narsingh Maharaj. This shows how saints work in unison. End of chapter 33. Om Sai Ram. Om Satchidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki Jai.